I decided to make a video on grading coursework, so component 2 for IGCSE PE. I've received a lot of emails from teachers over the last couple of years along the lines of they haven't really received any training on assessing students' coursework. Shock. They don't know how many marks out of 25 to give their students, and generally they're concerned about assessing them too high and being moderated down. They also don't have anything really to compare it with, because obviously you can't just post videos of students without their consent online, so there's not loads of examples of coursework videos against which to compare your own students. Anyway, I decided eventually, having responded to a lot of these emails individually, that I would kind of draft a blanket email that addressed the main issues and sort of how to go about actually grading your students. So my response was, "Dear ... I understand your situation. The information provided by Cambridge is vague at best. I'm also aware, having received a number of emails from teachers on the subject, that samples are often moderated down. This wouldn't be an issue if only the overmarked students had their scores appropriately lowered. Unfortunately, however, moderators have a habit of penalising the entire cohort. I think honestly they don't have the time or passion for the job to pick through each video with a fine-tooth comb. Instead, they watch a couple of minutes of footage, quickly decide whether to mark up or down, and then apply any changes made to the rest of the sample. You may have experienced something similar yourself. With this in mind, it's important to be consistent and fair when marking, and to avoid any bias towards your own students. The key to assessing coursework is knowing your grade boundaries. If you know how many marks out of 25 equate to an A star, A, B, C, etc., then the whole process becomes much simpler. For example, if I were assessing a group of 20 students in football and the group were of average ability, I'd expect to have 2 or 3 tier 1 performers who might play at club or district level. These are your A stars and A's. 6 or 7 tier 2 players, some of whom play for the school team. Those are A's and B's. 6 or 7 tier 3 players who are reasonably athletic and coordinated. Those are your B's and C's. And then 2 or 3 tier 4 players with 2 left feet. Those are your D's and E's. Now, once you've placed your students into tiers, and if you're new to IGCSE PE, you might need to use your experience of teaching years 7 to 9 to assist you with this, you can rank them within their tiers and award them specific grades. For example, if you have 3 tier 1s, but you think one of them is a step below the other 2, you might be looking at giving out 2 A stars and 1 A. Of course, this is just general advice, and you should refer to the grade descriptors in the coursework guidelines booklet as well to help you make your decision. Okay, now that you've awarded each student a grade, all you need to do is convert those grades into marks out of 25. The grade thresholds for IGCSE PE are approximately, and this is based on the last few years of grade thresholds, 19 out of 25 for an A star, and I've said 20 out of 25 will guarantee the grade based on the highest ever boundary over the last few years. 17 out of 25 for an A, and 18 out of 25 will guarantee the grade. 15 out of 25 for a B, 16 will guarantee the grade. 13 out of 25 for a C, and 14 will guarantee the grade. And 11 out of 25 for a D, and 12 will guarantee the grade. I've also put 9 out of 25 for an E, and 7 out of 25 for an F, but hopefully those are not applicable. Now the rest is up to you, although the one thing I would say is avoid giving really high A stars, so 23s, 24s and 25s. 23s might be okay, but 24s and 25s, avoid giving those. Only if a student plays at a very high level, for example regional or national, would I consider giving a 23 or above. Such scores will stand out and draw a moderator's attention when what you really want is to pass under the radar. And I have some personal experience of this myself. I taught 2 national badminton players. In fact, one actually won the national competition in Malaysia, and badminton is the national sport of Malaysia. So if there are any 25 out of 25s, these students were it. So I of course gave them 25 out of 25, and they both got moderated down to 24 or 23, I can't remember now, despite me sending in evidence of all their certificates, their rating on the governing body website, medals, trophies, etc. Anyway, I hope this helped. If you have any specific questions or comments, please leave those below and I'll do my best to respond to them. Also, if you want to support me, if you appreciate all of the content that I've put out over the years, then you can, of course, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and take a look at my resources, which I'll put a link to in the description below. If you're new to teaching IGCSE PE, they provide literally everything you need to do so. All of the content, PowerPoints, one per chapter. And then if you buy them, you can just send me an email as well, and I'll send over the past exam questions and mark schemes organized by chapter as well. So there's one document per chapter containing every single past exam question and mark scheme since the most recent syllabus was released in 2019. I know they have released newer syllabuses since, but if you look at the small print, the content is exactly the same. They say no changes have been made to the course content. The only thing that's changed is the appearance of the document, which is completely irrelevant. Anyway, this is a really useful resource because it contains everything you need to cover in PowerPoint form. So you can run through a specific chapter or topic and then refer directly to the corresponding past exam questions and mark schemes document, where you'll just have lists and lists of all of the questions that have ever been asked. So you can cover the topic and then throw loads of past questions at your students, or copy and paste questions from the list and create end of unit exams. The past exam questions are, of course, the end product, what your students are going to be assessed on in a theoretical context. So practicing past questions, and lots of them, is, in my experience, the absolute best way to go when it comes to preparing your students for their exams. So there's a link to that one in the description if you are interested. Okay, that's it for this video. So thanks for watching and have a great day.